Hi, everybody. We're back today with another episode of Howie's Hometown Heroes, where we feature business owners, entrepreneurs, and community members who are doing extraordinary, amazing things right there in their own community. Today, we're in South Setauket, New York. It's about halfway out on Long Island, if you kind of know where the geography there is. And I'm there with my good friend, Ed Jarvis. Ed is an unbelievable, I've known Ed for, I don't know, maybe a year, maybe. And every time I talk to him, he's got something new to talk about. He's got an unbelievable background. Listen to this. He the thing that we got started off with, he was a competitive eater. So he had a whole career doing that. But in addition to that, then he was all kinds of jobs, a bouncer on Long Island in bars. He's a realtor now, and he's raised all kinds of money for autism, veterans groups, cancer, cancer causes, raised a couple $100,000. He collects art, sells art at auctions that can raise some money too. And he's got some social club. He's really very involved in bringing people together to see where it goes. Not really a dating site necessarily, but just bring people together to have a good time and to kind of see where it goes. So it's really kind of a fascinating guy, this for sure is. So thanks for being here, Ed. I really appreciate it.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is gonna be a lot of fun. So let's kind of start way back. And you said you were in a competitive eating competitions, kind of all over the place. In 2001, what got you started along that path? Sounds like a crazy hobby to start up one day,
I saw this competition on Food Network, and it was a matzo ball eating competition. And at the time, obviously I'm married, and my wife was Jewish, and she's like, "Oh, matzo balls, you could eat those." And I'm like, "How hard could that be?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I never tried them, like in quantity." So, and you also never tried them that they were half pound a piece because they were pretty dense.
Oh my God.
So I said, well, you go to the contest and try it out and you see what it's like, right? So I get there and I'm like, never ate them before, like in this, contents. So I ended up eating 8.5 matzo balls, a half pound a piece, in 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Oh,
I lose.
You lost. Oh my gosh.
To a guy that had won multiple times before, so he had an experience of how to eat it. So I said, okay, that's fine. There's like multiple qualifiers to get in. I'll just do a different one until I get in. So, and the funny part was you donate $25 to get in, you get a $25 Ben's gift certificate, and you get 2 free Islander tickets. So I'm like, how am I losing? So I'm like, I'm making money on the deal. It's a win. And it's a charity thing. So as it turns out, like years later, I was in it for like 3 or 4 years. I would raise money through people that I was involved with for work. And I would get a tractor trailer load of toys to donate to you kids for the holidays.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's how I started on my charity run of, donating toys and all kinds of different stuff. I mean, sometimes we'd have like 40 bikes, hundreds of toys, and I would go in stores. I became like a personal shopper for these groups, and I would wait until they 75% off. You can buy a lot of stuff at 75, 80% off, like literally a lot, and fractions of dollars. When you have a $40 item and it's $10, you can buy a lot of them. So, which was cool. And then I said, you know what? I didn't win. I ended up getting in the finals. I broke the world record. I ate 13 in 5 minutes, 25 seconds.
Now, which was that? Which food was that?
The matzo balls.
I was still back to matzo balls. Okay.
And the guy ended up next to me. I didn't realize it at the time. But, he had a bowl, right? So they took his bowl away. I couldn't figure it out. But later on, I saw a video. He had like a lot of debris in his bowl. So I'm like, I had nothing, not a crumb. It was like, clean eating, right? And so that cost me to win, because basically if they would have counted as debris, he really didn't eat as many matzo balls as I did. But guess what? I lost in overtime. And as it turns out, this guy comes up at the end of the contest. He's got a corn cob hat on. And I'm like, who is this guy? I'm like, and he's like, hey, kid, do you have an agent? And I go, an agent? And he goes, yeah, an agent. I go, for eating? And he goes, there is such a thing? And he goes, yeah, there's I'm an eating agent. Really? And how many guys are there? Oh, there's a couple hundred. I'm like, really? There's an actual league for eating. Cool. I said, what are you called? He goes, the International Professional Eaters. And I'm like, really? So then years later, I said to them, I go, you got to change the name, because all baseball and all these leagues are MLB. So we'll become the MLE, Major League Eating. And they changed the name.
Oh,
And then I also had them do like, I was like, listen, you should do like the NCAA would do like a 32-person elimination. So one time I was at this competition in Las Vegas and I walk outside and who's there? Shaq and Yao Ming and Kobe Bryant. And I see them and I said, Shaq, I met them all three actually in the Greece League when I first got married. So Shaq's like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to do an eating contest. You want to come and check me out? He goes, what are you going to eat? I go, pasta. He goes, how many pounds you want to eat? I go, I'm going to try to eat 8 pounds in less than 10 minutes. 8 pounds of pasta? We got to go. Kobe, we got to go see this. They walk in. My agent looks at me and goes, how did you find them? I literally ate 8 pounds of pasta in under 10 minutes. And the other guy was so far away, like pounds less. I stopped eating because I was like, I didn't need to eat anymore. And I was like, I was going to eat like 3 hours later. So I'm like, I don't want to really kill myself.
I don't want to ruin my dinner by eating too much. Oh
and Shaq, I walk away and Shaq's like, dude, he goes, that's unbelievable. He goes, I could do a lot of things, but that's not one of them.
what a great story.
I bought his signed shoe.
Yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal's signed shoe.
Yeah, it's like gigantic. Yeah.
His shoe, Yao Ming's ball, and Kobe Bryant's ball, all three. With my winnings from the competition.
What? So now so I guess that's the question I was going to ask is, what other kinds of foods did you get? And did the agent find these competitions for you?
So what happened was they, obviously people would reach out and they would say, hey, could you send Ed Jarvis to do the news, Ed Cookie Jarvis to do the news? So they would pay me to come to some news stations because you'd have to fly across the country sometimes. Sometimes you'd be in California, sometimes you'd be in Las Vegas, sometimes I'd be in Florida, sometimes I'd be in Manhattan, So if I was going to Manhattan, they didn't really have to pay me too much, just, time and effort or whatever, more than anything else, because you got to get there. But I literally was on every news story, every newspaper. I was in Playboy with Carmen Electra as a cover. I was on the show Las Vegas. I was in all kinds of shows and media that you can't even imagine like you would ever get from being a professional speed eater, honestly. Wow. It was the coolest thing. And you know what? The hardest part was getting away from the media, not so much the eating, because you could, there was always somebody that, at some point was going to beat you. But, like I said, my shirts I used to give out shirts like before the event. Sometimes I'd give out 400 shirts. I'd shoot them out in little cannons. People throwing them out. And people would go crazy. They were wearing my shirts everywhere. And it was great for business because, it had my real estate on the back. And at that time, I was doing real estate and I had an energy business and a digital signage company, which basically we used to go to like Dunkin' Donuts and we'd have like digital signboards up for advertising. So I've been in many different fields over the years.
That is crazy. That is crazy. And I guess I hear that people have like 3 or 4 careers in their lifetime or something, whatever it is. You got like a couple of careers a year, everything you're moving around.
I've had 30 careers at least. I mean, at one time when I was a kid, I used to do door-to-door sales for like women's clothing. I would buy it wholesale and I'd sell it retail. And I would still be like way under the market. So like imagine if I got stuff that Fortunoffs would have or Macy's or Sears and you could buy it for $6 a sweater and sell it for $30 a sweater and still be $25 cheaper than the store. You can make a lot of money.
Yeah, geez, so pretty entrepreneur, not just the food stuff, but now entrepreneurial stuff around the food and around just in general.
During COVID, I go, how am I going to make money? I can't sell real estate. I couldn't show a house. I couldn't go in a house. They wanted to persecute you if you went even near a house. It was like $10,000 fine if you got caught showing a house. So I'm like, that wasn't going to happen. So 2 days into COVID, I go, I'm going to become a personal shopper again, which I had done once before, but not at this magnitude. And I said, you know what, I'm going to ask people what they want. I asked 10 people. They're like, what do you want? They're like, gym supplies. Okay. So I got everybody what they wanted. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to open a little store in my garage. I cleaned out my garage. I sold off like $30,000 worth of collectibles and stuff. And I said, I'm going to make this thing happen. And sure enough, it just blossomed. And it was like one person led to another. And it was like, sometimes I would post an ad on something and in an hour, I'd get 450 responses on it.
Oh my gosh. Right.
Like just to keep up to the amount of messages was almost impossible. I needed a secretary just to keep up to the messages.
That is crazy. I mean, one business thing after another, and they all seem that they all work out. I mean, is there any one that worked out really well or really poorly?
I find that in my lifetime I used to buy and sell houses, and I love houses because I love people. So everything in my life has always been connecting people to something. some kind of good or service. And I find that those things for me work. I mean, I just absolutely love the connection of people. Like even dating, I say people, I got a matchmaking service that I'm opening in October, and I love when people connect, and that connection is so great. And then like I have a few people that got married that I set up to date.
Ah,
And so, I always wanted to do that. I set it up before COVID and just never, with COVID coming and whatever, and then getting divorced and myself. And you know what, listen, I was with my ex for 26 and a half years. It was a long time. But sometimes people change. And
yeah,
sometimes, it's like getting a car. You need a change. You're like, all right, well, guess what? Time for change.
17. Okay. Well, let's hope it wasn't too like awkward. I mean, it sounds like kind of a cold way to end a big
Yeah,
relationship, but it's
think about it. People change, and sometimes it's not always for the better. And
yeah.
when your kids are like that, we can't live here. And I'm like, well, why? And they're like, it's just not what we want, and we need to move. And you know what? I had a very large home. It was beautiful, but I didn't need it. And you know what? It's just an object. Like when I saw off part of my collection of art and stuff, at one point I had probably 660 pieces of art.
Wow.
And then I started running auctions. And sometimes for an auction, I'd buy 100 pieces in like 3 weeks. And then I would run an event to frame them. So raise money, bring them all to the framer, 70 pieces, and have them frame them all. And we'd sell 60 to 70 pieces in a night.
Wow.
And we donate all the money to charity.
Charity, that's great.
So,
Yeah.
I basically run fundraisers to raise money and then give all the money to charity.
Very good. That's a great way to, yeah. I mean, that's a great way to give back to and connect people up in the same way.
At one time, we had about 4,000 families in our autistic group, and I was on 2 boards of directors, and I've always been in fundraising for as long as I can remember. Even during COVID, I had like donation jars set up in all different places and raising $10,000 from, just from my garage, which was pretty amazing.
The big garage.
It was literally like a storefront, and people would come and they would go, like they would walk around and they go, I don't get it. I go, what do you mean? They go, we can't find anything anywhere. Everything is here.
Yeah, that's why they can't find it, because you got it.
But I was shopping from all over the globe. So I had people running up the coast and picking up stuff and running across the country and shipping it in. I had stuff coming from all over the globe. If somebody needed something, they go, hey, I need a squat rack, a certain type. I send them pictures. Is this okay? Yes, this is the one I want. How much is it? This is what it is. And I would find it. And then like literally like for Christmas, I did a Santa's wish list for the husband, and then the wife had her list. And I got to tell you, people loved it. They were like going like the day before Christmas. I had more people at my house. It was just out of control, like nonstop all day, 30, 40 people.
And it's not like 80 degrees where you live at Christmas time either. I mean,
no, it was cold. And I just had a space heater in the garage, and I was just hanging out and just nonstop people all day long.
Nonstop people coming and going. Everybody's happy.
Everybody
they're happy. You're making some money, and everybody's good.
I had people coming from all the way from Rhode Island, all the way over to the Bronx, all the way down to Pennsylvania, and they were coming from everywhere, of all types of life, and they just like, we can't find anything. We could order stuff on, Amazon, and it didn't come, and we ordered it, and it's like weeks later, and I want it now, and people just, listen, people were getting money from the government more than they were normally getting.
Right,
they want to spend it. And they did, and they got what they wanted. And at the end of the day, my job was to find them what they wanted. And people even like Christmas, they were like, hey, I need a boxing thing. The problem is I only got 3 days. And I go, when are you coming to pick it up? And they go, you have it? And I go, I have it. And they're like, oh my God. Like, there was nothing that I didn't have. Like at any time, like even Dick's Sporting Goods recognized me as probably their biggest competitor for dumbbells in Long Island, which is bizarre because they're a big chain.
Yeah.
So,
that is crazy. I mean, here's some stuff I clearly didn't know about you and some of the stuff that you've done. So that's really a lot of fun.
I used to love going dancing when I was a young man. I go to clubs and I would dance around, and people used to be like, damn, that guy's big, but he dances like a madman. He's like doing Bobby Brown moves. He's like, what the heck? They used to call me White Lightning because I had really fast feet, and I would and I also at the time I was fighting constantly because I was always, working as a bouncer, and my job was to get people out safely. So I tried not to beat people up. And instead, I would just carry them out. So literally, I would pick somebody up over my shoulder and they would go out and be like, there's nothing you can do about it because guess what? Once you're on my shoulder, there's no way you're getting out of it.
There's no way you get, yeah.
Out of my clutches, and you know where you're getting out of it. So sometimes, people would like get in like these 3-4. Actually, one time I was in a brawl. It was like 28 people. And I said to the bouncers, just follow me when I run into this crowd. And literally, I took down 26 of 28 people just by running in. The manager's
Just
like,
knocking them all over.
he goes, it looked like a giant wrecking ball getting thrown into a crowd, and everybody just dispersed. And then everybody, as soon as they hit the ground, the guys just escorted them out. And it was over in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And there was no way you could like ever contain that any other way. And I don't even know what made me think of it, but it worked.
It worked. Well, there you go. You do it. You do it. You just react to those kind of situations, and surprise really gets them. Yeah.
Instinctively, you have to, be creative. And in life, I find that I am always on my toes, and people, laugh at me because I would see things before they would happen. One, I'm 6'6". I was a 400 and, one time I was a 525-pound man. Not too many people were moving me.
Yeah. Sure.
And I'd walk up to them and I'd say to the guy, I go, listen, you're really drunk tonight. I go, I know you're not happy about the situation, but if you leave, next week you can come back. I go, if you don't leave, the cops are taking you away. And then on top of it, your wife's going to have to bail you out later, and your baby girl's going to be not happy because you just got bailed out of jail. And the guy looked at me and I go, I'm just telling you the easy way. Just make it easy. Don't go complicated. He'd walk right out. The owner's like, what'd you say to him? He goes, we had like 3 guys talk to him. He goes, you walk over for 2 minutes, it's over. I'm like, well, that's my job. My job is to try to keep people calm. I'm like, I'm a connector. I connect things to each other or detach them from each other.
Or make them see the reality of the situation.
Well, sometimes it's about, listen, I've taken a lot of Tony Robbins, I've taken a lot of landmark classes, and I have learned in my lifetime there's much better ways of effectively helping people, even though they don't always want to help themselves. Sometimes reality is stronger when it comes from somebody they don't know.
Like you see things clearly that they don't see for themselves.
Listen, I tell people, I'm like a lighthouse. My objective is to keep you off the rocks, keep you straight. That's it. Even like I had a homeowner the other day, and we had this rental, and they came back with a checklist of stuff that we needed to fix. And I just, he's like, I'm going to have a meltdown. I go, listen, I'm coming there. I set up the plumber. I set up the cleaning service. I set up the painter. I set up something else. We went and got a refrigerator. I helped them get it off the truck. We would like hustling and bustling until the guy walked in the door. Guess what? We got approved. He goes, I would have never been able to do that without you. And you, as a broker, normally would not go to this extent for anybody, but I am the person that wants people to get to where they want to go. My job is to get you where you want to go. Bottom line.
That's it. And make it happen almost in spite of themselves. Yeah.
Because people get, like, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. No, you can do it. I go, think about it. If he had to wait 2 extra weeks to get another inspection, he'd lose $1,600, right? All the work that we didn't cost $1,600. So now he's getting all the money back. And the lady gets in 2 weeks earlier. And I get paid 2 weeks earlier.
2 weeks earlier, there you go.
Which is a lot. When you're getting, $6,400 is a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure.
And at the end of the day, we all have to make money. And I tell people, it's not who you know all the time, because, you could meet somebody. I could meet Howie, and Howie refers me to somebody else because I do the right thing. I mean, listen, I do credit card processing. I own 2 social clubs. I love being around people. That's been my whole life. Even when I do food sculptures that most people don't even know, like that really have not met me. And basically when I make them, the objective is, so when people see them, they're like, oh my God, like who made this? And then they see them and they're like, that's amazing. Like, where'd you come up with that idea? And I'm like, I just, created it, right? It's like art, but it's food. So like one time I had a Super Bowl party and I had a pizza that was 7 feet long by 4 feet wide. It took up my whole island, except for enough room just to put the plates, right? And it was 6 pizzas all joined into one. I cut them all up and then I joined them as merged them. And I made a pigskin football. So I took a foam core and I cut up sections and then I glued them together, laminated them. And then I covered it in tinfoil. It looked like a football. And then I took little mini pigs in a blanket and I covered it and it was basically a pigskin football. Literally. And people like, That's insane. Like, what made you think of that? I'm like, I just have this creative
This
sense of,
thing.
and I love people's, like, when they look at it, they're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Like, I love it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that is crazy. That is crazy. Boy, we started this conversation. I started this conversation thinking we were going to talk about hot dog eating contest, or I didn't even know
well,
about the matzo ball stuff and the
you know,
mayonnaise jar and the. We've gone in a totally different direction. I think it's fascinating. It's unbelievable what you've been doing the last, whatever, 30, 40 years, That's unbelievable.
and it's funny because I was on Jay Leno's show, right? And I'm on with Snoop Dogg and Simon Cowell. And I eat 2 pounds of mayonnaise. And Jay Leno tells me, the day that he asked me on the phone, he called me directly. He says, listen, my director called 3 people. Everybody gave me your name and number. He goes, they said, Ed will eat anything. You just want him to come on the show. You tell him what you want to eat and he'll come. And I said to Jay Leno, I go, what do you want me to eat? He goes, mayonnaise. And I go, how many pounds? And he goes, how many pounds you think you could eat? I said, well, how about we do 2 pounds? Because you don't want something that's too long on the show. He goes, how long would it take you? I said, 35 seconds, a jar of Hellman's. He goes, 35 seconds?
5 seconds. Oh my God.
When I got to the show, you know what I ate it in? 35 seconds on the button. I
Button.
walked into the back after I was done, and Snoop Dogg was hanging out with his posse, and he's like, what are you going to do now, kid? He goes, that was unbelievable. I go, I was thinking of eating a couple of cans of tuna, a couple of slices of rye, jumping around a little, And he's like, we need this guy. He's got issues. He fits right in. And Simon Cowell was like cracking up. He goes, that's unbelievable. He goes, I never seen anything like.
Yeah. What are some other there's all kinds of stories about the competitive eating. Is there any other thing that that comes to mind?
I remember like one day I get a call from Playboy and they're like, we want to do a 2-page spread on you. And I'm like, what does this mean exactly? Because I'm gonna have to explain this to my wife. Does that mean clothes, unclothes? No, you're gonna be clothes. Okay, good. So that's a good start. We're gonna be featured in an article for 2 pages, and we're gonna take one picture. We're gonna fly up to Chicago. We'll take one picture, giant picture of you surrounded by food, and then we're gonna do an article. Basically, I was the Michael Jordan of weird sports was my term, and they basically I was an ice cream champ. So I ate a gallon and 9 ounces of ice cream, which was 6 pounds, 14 ounces of ice cream in 10 minutes. Kosher ice cream, vanilla. So there was no milk, there was no dairy. It was kosher. So it was buttercream, which is much heavier.
It's heavier than ice cream.
It's much more dense, but guess what? There was nobody slowing Jarvis down. They're like a big naughty kid at the table, they told me.
That is
I won the world buffet title. I was like, it was like 6 competitions over 3 days. And they thought it was crazy. I ate like a 16 scoops of Haagen-Dazs with 2 bananas and hot fudge and whipped cream topping, a lemon meringue pie, and a pound of cut strawberries in 5 minutes and 32 seconds.
Oh my God.
Most people are like, I couldn't eat the strawberries in that quick, let alone a whole full lemon meringue pie is big and it's dense.
So wait, this is making me think of some other stuff. Now I'm not even sure how healthy were you in these couple of years you were doing this. I mean, how'd you?
The funny part is, health-wise, I didn't have diabetes, I didn't have cholesterol, I didn't have sugar problems, I didn't have any of the above. I stopped eating, and everything showed up. And then within 6 months, I dropped 100 pounds, and all went away.
Oh.
And I was like, you know what? I just got to get healthy and stay healthy. And you know what? Then maybe like years later, I went, like right before COVID, I went for the gastric sleeve to prevent myself from basically doing this again to myself. The up and down is not a good thing for weight and
for anybody.
All these other things. And now like I said, I live a different lifestyle of healthiness. But even when you eat healthy, you can still gain weight, which is kind of crazy because you don't even feel like you're eating that much and you can gain weight. So you got to be careful, like everything else.
You eat a lot of crap. If it's not a lot, you eat a lot of crap. It's not going to go anywhere. So
little items that are sugar have a lot of calories. So you could eat, like at one time I ate 44 double stuffed Oreos, which is a pack and a half.
Half of Oreos.
So literally like four reams of Oreos. And people were like, oh, that was in 4 minutes. I ate 44 meatballs in 4 minutes. I am the world record holder for St. Gennaro's Feast. I ate 3-time cannoli champ. Every time I entered, I won 31 and a half cannolis in 6 minutes, plus 6 cups of coffee. I ate there was a place called J&R Steakhouse. They had a steak challenge, right? So the record was like 10 minutes. First couple of times I realized they sandbagged me and they gave me a bigger steak. So I went back with Discovery Channel and I ate a 76-ounce steak, a baked potato, an order of cream of spinach, and a 32-ounce picture of beer in 7.5 minutes. And people are like, how's that possible? I go, anything is possible. It's a matter of, figuring out a technique to eat things. Business is the same thing, right? Everything is technique today. You need to have something that everybody else doesn't have, right? This guy's like, oh, I'm a marathon runner and I'm running, I'm climbing mountains, right? So my picture is me eating a house on a card and it says my commission won't eat you at a house and home.
Oh, there you go. Very clever.
Yeah.
Very clever. So when you get to these gallons in a minute or hundreds of, I don't know, of whatever's in a short amount of time, this sounds like a stupid question. Do you feel full? I mean, like, when do you say, is it what's keeping you going, or is it you or the clock? What's going on?
The funny part is, like the Nathan's contest, I ran out of time before I ran out of food.
Oh, you could have eaten more even.
So I could have eaten more. I just ran out of time.
Huh. But
imagine, I ran out of time. Literally, I didn't hit a wall. I ran out of time. And the sad part is, I used to bring I get a rental bus, 55 people. And I would bring them in because I was already in for the night before doing interviews and whatever. And sometimes you do, like in a week, I would do over 100 radio and TV shows in a week. Literally, it would take a whole week to do. And then sometimes they'd send me up to, I went up to Summer Jam one time. I'm hanging out with all these great actors and comedians, and I was hanging out with Dice Clay. I'm hanging out with the Naked News. I'm hanging out with Gene Simmons and Kiss. And all these, the guys from LA Law and all these crazy shows, and I'm going to eat for them. So, I did a rib eating contest. I did a Ben and Jerry's contest. Oh. And I won both. And people were like, this guy's unbelievable. I said, listen, I don't come here to wave at the crowd. I'm here to win, and in life, you have to be in it to win it. You can't be, I always tell people, I'm on the court 24/7. I'm never in the sidelines. There's no sideline for me. I don't even know how to be.
Wow, what a great way to look at that.
And because that's how life is. People sit on the sidelines and they go, oh, maybe they'll pick me in. No, I am all out, all in, 24/7. I'm going to do my Michael Jordan or LeBron James or Shaq or, Muhammad Ali. I'm going to rope a dope them in and I'm going to get them. One way or another, they're going down.
That's that competitive edge to you that is really cool. So now, what's next for you? I mean, where are you headed next? You got the Tall People Social Club. You got the dating site coming up, and what else?
So we have a few things opening, which is great because, and the funny part is, which people don't think about, at some point, everybody that needs to buy a house, right? So the more social clubs I have, those people at some point are going to need to buy a house. Oh, if I connect them and set them up with each other, who are they going to buy a house through?
Yeah, sure.
Right? If you introduce people and you network with them and you find things that are going to fit for them, other people like you or other people that are involved, at some point they're going to use you. When I got involved with our networking group that we're in, Connects, Chris said to me, he goes, I never seen anybody more tenacious. I said, listen, I am a shark in a goldfish bowl. I said, but I don't have to be like a bull in a china shop. I don't push people around. Oh. I want them to feel comfortable and know that I am there for them 24/7. They can call me any time of day and they'll get me. And I will call them back if I miss their call, which is very rare that I miss a call. Because that's most important in this business, that people know you're there for them.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
People need that comfort of, hey, listen, I can depend on him. He's going to call me back. If there's something that can get done, I'm going to make it happen, no matter what.
And you've got a track record for doing that too. So
I used, like I said, I've been selling homes forever, and even when the market's good or bad, it doesn't matter because you still got to sell homes and you got to make it happen. And at the end of the day, sometimes I offset my income, because we're affected by the rates and everything else going on, right? But guess what? I'll sell some more. Sometimes I buy and sell furniture. Doesn't matter. You just got to keep moving. There's no, like I'm like, watching what's the guy, the Navy SEAL?
Oh.
Because I'm always on the go. there's no stopping me. I have to get to the end goal no matter what. Nobody wants to hear that you can't, nobody
I
wants to be
can't
with
do
him.
this. Yeah.
I can't do this. Those words don't exist in my life. I'm like, they said I'm a rhino. I said to the guy, what's a rhino mean? He goes, well, a rhino can only go forward. So if they get in a corner, they can't get out. They can't back up.
They
Rhinos
can't
can't back up.
go, oh, I didn't know that.
Don't back up. So you were a rhino. He says you were a true rhino because you don't ever back up. You always go forward. You have to move forward. And that's just who I've become over the years. And, my one friend Vinny is always like, oh, you're like a robot. You just are on a mission until it's done. And I go, that's what you have to do in business. People want to have someone to depend on, even when you're dating somebody. I dated an amazing lady for a long time, and she knew that I was her rock. At the end of the day, things change and you end up, moving on. But nothing lasts forever. I mean, it's unfortunate. This is life, as we know it. People do change, dynamics change in your life, and sometimes it happens, right? Some people stay together like, my parents were together like 40, 50 years. I mean, crazy. And then I met somebody the other night. They were together 60 years. I'm like, good Lord, 60 years. I'm like, that's a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, that's a commitment, life is a commitment, right? Sometimes people commit and sometimes people break the commitment, right?
All right. Well, or they change. So it's the situation changes. It's not they don't want to commit, but they just
right.
Yeah. So this has been awesome. So Ed, I really appreciate you being on the show. This is going to be a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I learned an unbelievable amount about you and how business works too. So lots of new ways to think about it. So if everybody's out there, know someone who is as unbelievable as Ed, let me know and we'll get them on the show too. Just remember that no matter whether it's your business or your community organization or your foundation, whatever's going on, remember it's money that make those gears keep turning. Make sure your money is working for you in the most optimal way it can. So thanks for being on the show, Ed. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. It was great.
See you soon.